Hey, how you doing? This is Bryon Watkins coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. I want to talk about today. I want to talk about racism and other topics. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to give me a call at 702-983-0711, and we can talk live on here. Racism, and where do you really begin? I mean, it goes. You have whites, not just in America, but in the world. You have blacks, you have Hispanics, you have Puerto Ricans, and some, when I hear Puerto Ricans versus Hispanics or what have you, even they're at a rift with each other. And then you have English, you have Irish. So, bottom line is this. Racism sucks. It does. And I keep telling people, and I've said this before, to me, I compare racism worse than AIDS. And that's pretty high. That's pretty high up there because, well, allegedly there's no cure for AIDS. I disagree with that, but that's a whole different topic at a later date. So say hypothetically there is no cure for AIDS. I think there is, but say there's not. I put racism higher than that. And I give an example. Say, for example, there is a cure for AIDS, and one certain group, no matter who it is, wants to keep it and suppress it from another group. You've suppressed it from another group because of racism. So therefore, if you weren't racist, that sick individuals, plural, can be cured already because racism would not have blocked their decision. So, with that said, just as an example, I hope you understood that, racism is the number one threat to the world. Period, hands down, period, the end. Now, I mean, again, this is a huge topic. What's going on? First of all, let me talk about the monuments that are being torn down. And also, let me say this first. Because some of you, well, a lot of you do not know me. Some of you who do know me, they will vouch for this. I'm not picking sides as far as trying to make one group feel better versus another group feel better, one group feel bad versus another group feel bad. I'm going to say what I want to say from the heart. If you like it, great. If you're not, you can kick rocks. Deuces. Peace. Bye. Hasta. Be gone. Go. I don't care. Because this is how I am. And when I campaign for the Nevada State Senate, I'm going to be the same way. And if those I'm going against and those so-called power-hungry MFs don't like how I'm going to approach things, that's your problem. You can kick rocks too. Get the hell out of America. Either way, I don't care. I'm going to relay it the way it needs to be relayed. I'm going to relay it how it should have been relayed. And I'm going to say it how it needs to be said, which is therefore I'm going to relay it how it needs to be relayed. That's just the way, that's how I roll. That's how I do it. Now, if you don't like it, like I said, deuces. And with that said, let's talk about the monuments being torn down. I disagree with the monuments being torn down because you're tearing down history. See, the thing is this. Monuments, statue, same thing as a monument, a street name, a car, whatever the case you want to put on it, that is a reminder of some kind of history, so therefore you can look at something and say, hey, you know what? That's a 1932 Ford Model T. Where did that come from? Why was it designed, so forth and so on? You need some kind of picture, good, bad, or indifferent, negative, positive, whatever the case may be, to start the historical research on it. So, and I think it's kind of ironic also, by the way, how all of a sudden, though they've been standing for over 100 years, this has become an issue. Now, granted, and I want to say, when I talk during this interview or this show, I want to say, so you know exactly where I'm coming from, I want to say either white or I want to say black, which I don't like saying that because now, because through the legal system, which I'll explain later, they like to use those to label people for certain reasons, which that's another video at a later date. So in the meantime, I'll just continue this way. Now, for blacks that live in the South, I can understand. And for whites, I'm sure a lot of you can understand also how that can be, those monuments standing can be, to them, racist or racism because unfortunately, and I'll say this again, unfortunately, we have been indoctrinated to believe that the Civil War was fought over slavery. The Civil War was not fought over slavery. Hell, they didn't even allow blacks to start fighting until 1863. Civil War started in 1861. I just want to throw those years out there. 1861 and blacks wasn't even considered to fight until 1863. Now let's talk about, and I kind of digress, but I get back to what I said just a minute ago about how blacks can feel that the statutes being racist and so forth. Now let's get back to, before I forget this part, as far as blacks in the Civil War. The blacks in the Civil War, if you read your history, technically, well not technically, yeah, well factually, they weren't considered to even fight in the Civil War because the North needed more people to win the war. So they thought, okay, well let's recruit blacks. That's the reason. That's the only reason. And a lot of blacks, and so white American, I hope you understand this, and I'm sure that you will, feel the need to do so they can feel that they are somebody. And that's what it all comes down to during that point, even to this very day, which I explain as this goes on. Blacks were always kicked to the side. We were second class, nothing. Blacks just wanted to have an equal share at the table. That's all it comes down to. They never thought about, okay, well, you're white, we're going to kill you, and blah, 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 and I have read reports, a lot of whites back then in the 1800s thought that, which, can you blame them because of what you did to them? You enslaved them, you raped them, you killed them, you burned them, you humiliated them, and so forth. So I can understand that point at that time, and I'm sure many of you can understand that point at that time, but they just wanted to have an equal footing at the table. They wanted to be treated as equals, regardless of skin color. That's where that came from. So they wanted to fight to show their worth. And the 54th Massachusetts Regiment in the Civil War proved that. Which you look up the history of, which was the movie Glory with Denzel Washington and Matthew Broderick. Great movie. I cried during that movie a couple times, and I've seen that movie a lot. So that's all it comes down to. See, when it comes to blacks, even myself, we just want to be treated as equal. That's it. That is it. That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. And if you read the history books, you can see that a lot of areas, a lot of blacks to this day are still not treated equally. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you do. As far as the monuments, unfortunately, getting back to what I was saying about the indoctrination in the schools, we were led to believe that from the jump, the Civil War was fought over slavery when it was not. We were led to believe from the jump that all whites were racist when they were not. That's like saying all Christians are racist. That's like saying, well, since the KKK always talks about Christianity, every white person walking on the face of the earth is racist. That's not true. That's like saying blacks when they're saying black power, all of them are racist. That's not true. The reason they're saying black power is not what you think. They're saying that, and this started also, if you look at it was the 1968 Olympics. The two gentlemen, I forgot the name, raised the black fist of black power. They were not raising their fist. If you read the history about being superior, they were raising their fist because they wanted to be treated as equals. They raised their fist because they got tired of being discriminated against. That's what they were talking about, even to this very day, about when it comes to black power. They're talking about being treated as equals. And I will say this, blacks need to address that more, because when you're just doing a gesture, or without giving an explanation, what do you think white people are going to think? They're going to automatically think, okay, well, they're being racist against us, they want to kill us, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true. Hell, I would think that. I would definitely think that. So, when you, whatever gesture that you do, whatever sign that you put up, explain it. Explain it. Then it will resonate. But no one's doing that. And that's the problem. That's the education. And by the way, and this goes to whites, blacks, Hispanics, doesn't matter. Whatever you are doing to promote your culture, you are duty bound to explain why. Now, in our country, do you have to? No. But I feel, this is my personal opinion, you are duty bound. Just like, and I posted on my timeline periodically, and I'm going to start doing it more, but I would post, and listen to words carefully, and I always use the word, I put it in bold letters, because that party is far together different than the recent party. The original Black Panther Party for self-defense and the original White Panther Party for self-defense, which Most never knew about the White Panther Party. The reason I would always say the original, because they're altogether different from the ones today. Most don't know that because they only go on what the news media says, and they only go on what the news media put and how they paraphrase and leave a lot of important history out. And this all comes down to one thing and one thing only. Nobody reads anything. That's the problem. That is the problem. So, perfect example. When you see the Black Panther Party symbol, a lot of whites, and I understand where you come from, believe me. Oh, they must be racist. No, it's not true at all. Again, they are just promoting to have equality amongst people. That's what they're doing because they are proud, just like I am, where our people came from, what they endured over the past 300 or 400 or 500 years. And I'm sure you all, I know you know that. I know you do. I don't have to write that out, spell it out. But back to the original Black Panther Party for self-defense and the original White Panther Party for self-defense, which Mr. St. Clair, who started, one of the co-founders for the White Panther Party for self-defense, he still lives up in Michigan. I think he still lives in Michigan, but I could have swore I read something recently that he actually lives overseas, or he may have come back. I don't know. But I would love to sit with him and pick his brain. But anyway, unbeknownst to most, those two parties in the 1960s and early 1970s were going to join forces to work together, and guess what for? What's going on to this very day? To educate the masses about political and police corruption. But see, no one knows that. I didn't know that until I just came across it by accident a year ago, which I did an essay on in college about, which I didn't expect no one in my class to know because, well, I'm in the class with, I think, the oldest would probably be about 23 years old. They would know. But even the professors didn't know. And some professors not a lot, some are older than me, some a lot older than me. They didn't know. I came across it by accident because I was doing a Google search. So I was going to write about the Black Panther Party. So I wanted to educate white America to let them know the original Black Panther Party, they were not racist at all. They were not. That's the corrupt J. Edgar Hoover, which they need to change the name of that building. Now, that's one thing they should change. The hell with the monuments, they need to change that because it's already been proven that he was racist. That's fact. That is a fact. So they need to change the name from the J. Edgar Hoover building to, I don't know, something else. They need to change the name. But anyway, it was the corrupt FBI and a variety of Oakland police officers that kept touting how the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, were racist against blacks. They weren't anti-white. They were anti-oppressed because they were always constantly being oppressed and violated by the Oakland PD. That is historical documented facts. Constantly. And I give you a perfect example. What happened to in Ferguson, Missouri, with forgot his name, Brown and was it Brown? Anyway, what happened in Ferguson, Missouri was unfortunate. A career ended and the kid died. That's unfortunate. Either way you slice it, that's unfortunate. However, during an investigation into that police department, hell, they've been oppressing, and which has already been documented facts, they've been oppressing the poor black community with constant harassment and constant, on top of constant, issuing unlawful tickets to pay God knows what. Same thing was happening in the 60s in Oakland, California. And they got tired. Hey, I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, anyone will get tired of that shit. So the original Black Panther Party for self-defense, and they always like to leave out that part for self-defense because they work for self-defense, decided to get together and explain to the American people about how they were being oppressed. They were anti-white. They were anti-oppression. Hell, they're poor, so they're already oppressed. And you don't need to be oppressed. If you're going home, if you're taking home, say for example, in today's market, your take-home pay is $1,000. You don't need to be oppressed more by getting fined for something that didn't happen. It's going to cost you $300, knowing you can't. And this is systematically proven in the justice system Knowing you get these high fines, you can't pay for it, then what happens? Then fees get tacked onto it. And you can't pay for the original ticket already. When those fees get tacked on it, knowing damn well you can't pay it, what eventually happens? Now you get a warrant out for your arrest. And when you get a warrant out for your arrest, what eventually happens? You get arrested. When you get arrested, what happens after that? You're going to lose your job because you're not showing up your job. At your job because you're in jail. And when you come out and to explain to your employer that you were in jail, what eventually happens? Your employer, without investigating themselves, uses bias and then they fire you. So now you're really oppressed. It's a system that is systematically designed to keep the poor down. That's fact. And to find out the truth of anything, for example, if someone, if I tell you that this hat is black, I don't have to tell you that flat out. Systematically, you can see the color black, whatever, being manufactured to come up with this color or that color. You can see the systematic effects to know the truth. I don't have to tell you, or I have to show you flat out that this hat is black. Bottom line is, to get to the truth, you do not need a yes or no answer. You can see the systematic effects and the systematic timeline to get yes or no. That's the point. And that's all that was about. So the original White Panther Party for self-defense and the original Black Panther Party for self-defense were getting, this is in the 1960s. Now imagine had that been accomplished successfully. You think the powers that be, the powerful elite, can allow that? Come on, hell no, they can't allow that. Because see, now you got the oppressed from the blacks and the whites coming together, getting ready to, excuse my language, kick ass and take names. I like one of my favorite movie lines from the late Roddy Piper. I'm here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. Well, I'm fresh out of bubble gum. So what's left? They couldn't allow that. Now, let me go back from the 1960s and early 1970s. Let me rewind the clocks back an additional 300 to 400 years to the 1600s. Let's talk about Nathaniel Bacon. Bacon's Rebellion. During that time, poor blacks and poor whites were in indentured servitude. When you are in indentured servitude at the time, you're under a contract. When the contract ends, you can go on about your way. Well, the powerful elite, which were at that time were white America, and that's fact, that's historical documents. Well, they couldn't allow that. So what they did, they told the poor whites, and this is all documented. Yo, take my word for it. That's fine. I don't care. It's already been proven. They got together and told the poor whites, well, you know, these people are here, the blacks are nothing, they're second class, blah, 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 so go against them, which eventually happened. The bottom line is the powerful elite cannot afford to have the forces, black, white, Hispanic, yellow, green, purple people get together as one. They can't afford that. They cannot afford that because they will lose overnight, and they know they will. That's a fact. Hell, if all the races got together and we didn't have no weapons at all, even the powerful elite didn't have weapons, they would still lose because we would outnumber them probably like 500 to 1. They wouldn't stand a chance in hell. They can't afford that. That's why that's what's going on now. They're doing the conquer and divide. That's what's going on. Because it was happening, more and more and more different races of people are coming into America. It's happening. It's happening. They cannot, the powerful elite knows this. They see this. They see it. All you have to do is study, what's the term I'm looking for? The founding fathers did this so very well. A lot of people did this so very well. Wow, I forgot that quick. Before I go on, I want to say this term, so just bear with me because it's very important. They can see into the future, kind of. Well, yeah, they can see into the future. Well, anyway, they can see into the future through past events, through past actions. You can see what's going to happen. That's the point I'm getting at. But it's a certain term, and it probably will hit me as I go on. Then I will tell you. I'll stop and tell you. Then I'll go back to this point to tell you what I mentioned, that you can better understand what I'm talking about. But they can see a timeline of systematic events. That's not the name of it, but that's going to occur. So right now, the powerful elite, and which I'm about to go into my next, it's on the same crux of this whole thing. When they talk about white privilege, the powerful elite, they can see this now. When you hear the term white privilege, what does that mean exactly? Because someone explains it. Well, I'll explain it for you. Who is in charge of all of the big power in the banking system and the justice system? Those people that are white. Now, hold on, before you go on, so I want you to think I'm trying to start some race war or whatever the crap, because people who know me know damn well I'm far from racist. I'm just giving you the facts. What is before you? Who's in charge of that? Mostly white males. So when they say white privilege, that's what they're talking about. They're not talking about all white males are racist. That's not what that means. And people, when you say things regarding race or anything for that matter, especially race, you need to, your duty bound to explain yourself. So you're not misconstrued. So you're not being thought of as a racist. You're not being thought of trying to start some kind of race war. You need to do that. For example, the whites was going on in the South with the whites and the monuments getting mad about the monuments being torn down. Now, if you're expecting me to believe that all whites that are mad about the Confederate monuments being torn down are racist, I don't believe that. They're just proud of the South and proud of the heritage that they fought in the war. And not all, and mind you, not all Confederate soldiers were racist either. They all, look, both sides were unfortunately caught up in the banking, and I'll explain this. This is what really caused the Civil War was the banking industry. The Rothschild dynasty. To control what? Economics. And what do you need to have economics continually to flow? What do you need? What do you need? You need bodies. You need people to do it. The powerful elite they may be comprised of a total of 200 people. 200 people, 300 people, even 1,000 people cannot keep an entire country going. So what do they need? They need slaves. And slaves can be defined in many different terms. Hell, all of us to this very day, even white and black, we're slaves now. To what? The Federal Reserve. So what do? They brought in slaves. By the way, it's already been documented also that the boats that brought slaves over from Africa to here, they were owned by the Rothschilds. That's to start ringing bells right there. So in order to keep their corrupt Federal Reserve, fiat money currency BS going, they brought in slavery to divide and conquer. And they paid off politicians. Here's $1,000, which back then was probably like $100,000. Here's $1,000 to keep this little charade going. And just like today, a lot of politicians are, okay, thanks, let me go talk to the public like I really care, which they don't. We are all being played, just like a piano. We're being played like a mug. Believe that. All of us are being played. Unfortunately, very little of us knows this. That's the problem. That is the problem. And I know, again, a lot of you all see this, and I also know a lot do not like to speak about this openly. Like, I'll speak openly about anything. I don't care. I don't care. Because one thing is fact. I used to believe two things are fact. Death and taxes. Now that people have been learning about the IRS, and now that I've seen people actually beat the IRS without bar attorney assistance on very serious levels, taxes are not guaranteed no more. The only one thing in life is guaranteed. That is death. And it all comes down to, upon your death, how you want to go out. Me, I'm going to go out raising hell. And I'm going to go out being defiant as hell. Therefore, I'm going out raising hell. Like it or not. Talking to you, elite. Like it or not. And to the powerful elite, if you don't like it, after I'm dead, I'll try to care. I'll try to care. I won't. But I'll try to care. Well, therefore I don't care. But that's what it comes down to. That's what's going on because, like I said, and I need to reiterate this to white America, blacks just want to feel equal. We just want to have an equal footing at the table, at the dinner table. We just want, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That is it. As far as being treated equal, let's talk about the justice system, which is the same thing as about race. Just like I learned in my criminal justice class, and I've already learned this, well, I've learned more, but I already knew this, and we all know this. And in the criminal justice system, blacks are not treated equal. They're just not. That's fact. Look at do your research. Look at the FBI statistics. I'm surprised I'm even quoting the Federal Bureau of Idiots, but whatever. Read the newspapers, which no one does. And then when people say, Bryon, where are you getting this information? Oh, right here. Newspaper here, dated Wednesday, September 5th, 2000. Right here's the article. Oh, here are the references. Well, Bryon, where are you getting this newspaper? Where are you getting this information? Right here in this book. Right here. See, I read. And the funny part, I used to hate reading. I couldn't stand it. If you told me 15, 20 years ago I've been doing all the reading that I've been doing, especially about law, I would have thought you lost your damn mind. I would have said you need to check yourself into an insane asylum. I am not reading no book. I'm sure as hell not reading laws. Here we are. Can't get enough of it. Reading is powerful, baby. Reading is more powerful than money. But that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. So, as far as the monuments being torn down, I disagree with it because you're erasing history. They need to be talked about. Because once you start erasing, it's just like your memory. Okay, I'll give you an example. Say the topic of the day of the world was about, oh, I know, because it's my favorite, chocolate. Snickers bar, chocolate cake. Say the topic of the day has been in the news all over CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, on the internet, whatever, about chocolate. And all of a sudden, chocolate is taken off the shelves, chocolate is taken out of textbooks and everything else. What's eventually going to happen? You're going to forget about it. And then what's going to happen after that? You're never going to talk about it. Good, bad, or indifferent, it needs to be talked about. Because you need to start, then you can trace that to something else. For the most part, the South didn't want the war. Now, granted, and I will say this, those that were in the South at that time wanted to use the excuse state rights to keep slavery going. That's not right. Because I guarantee you, say for example, I was living in 1854, and I'm talking to a white individual, and they say, well, we're allowed to have slavery because of states' rights. And then what if I said, okay, let's reverse that. What if all whites were slaves and me as a black man say, well, we're allowed to have slavery because of states' rights? I guarantee you they would disagree with it. So that brings me to my other point. A lot, and I used to be guilty of it too. Used to, past tense. And what got me not used to that is reading law. And learning how the fairness needs to be across the board, which is very rare. And people keep telling me, well, you live in a dream world. Well, then I guess I'm a dreaming mofo because I want to keep being that way, not bias or prejudice. Now, with that said, my point is this. Say, for example, that happened at that time. Bottom line is you can't use things that's to your advantage and then somehow justifies it in your mind. Knowing damn well it's not fair to everybody as a whole. And then you've heard me say this on my Facebook many times. You're talking about law. I want to treat it so it's fair to people as a whole. I've heard people, Bryon, yeah, that's plan. That doesn't happen. I know it doesn't happen. That's the problem, that it doesn't happen. But is it true? Okay, it is true. So therefore, I'm not living in a fantasy land. I'm living around people who are just freaking stubborn and bias and prejudice on many different levels, be it black or white. That's the truth. And that's what's going on. And I'm going to reiterate again, when people say, when you hear blacks saying white privilege, you're talking about the powerful elite that are the color of white, and we all know that they are, who is controlling everything. That's what they mean when they say it. They're not saying, oh, white privilege, all whites are bad, all whites are racist. That's not what that means. That's not what they're saying. So I give you a perfect example. My friend Paul Sullivan on my Facebook, he's not racist by no means. And I've heard this also, too, which is, it may be true in some parts. I don't know the numbers, the statistical data, because that has not been done. Some people say, well, if a white man dates a black girl, he's going to treat her like nothing and blah, blah, blah. That's not true. I'm sure that's happened, but I don't know where. I guarantee you Paul Sullivan's not like that. My other friend, a while ago, well, I haven't seen him so a while. Gee, it's been a while. Damn, I think I haven't seen him like in maybe 12 years. Time flies. Anyway, white gentleman, he liked to date black women, but being around him and knowing him, he wouldn't treat a black woman like second class just to be going with him. Maybe some white men would do that, and some black women do that to white women. But you know, there is no statistical data to see the percentage of that. So my point being is, again, not all across the board are like that. And racism needs to be talked about more. Now, I remember the actor Morgan Freeman, they interviewed him and they asked him about racism. He said, stop talking about it. I disagree with that. At first, when I first saw that interview, I agreed with it, but as I thought about it more, I said, nah, if you stop talking about it, here's a perfect example. Say something's bothering you. Something's bothering you bad, you hold it in, you hold it in, and you hold it in. You never talk about it. Whose fault is that? It's your fault. Why? Because you're not talking about it. All the pain and anger, whatever it is building up inside of you because of something you're not talking about, whose fault is that? That's your fault. Because you knew about it. We, on the outside, we don't know because you know your mouth. So it's 100% your fault. So when you talk about don't talk about it, or you may be afraid of how people may be perceived, so the hell what? Talk about it. If people are afraid of what you said, talk about it some more so they have a better understanding about what you're talking about. Duh! Discussion. Open your mouth. It's not hard. Yeah. And I've heard people, right, well, people can't do that like you and blah, blah, blah. I'm not telling you to be like me. Hell, I don't want you to be like me yourself. You're born in your own skin. God created you as you. Be you. I don't mean the corporate fiction you. Different discussion at a later date when I say that. But be yourself. Be yourself. Racism is the most deadliest disease in this universe. It is. It needs to stop. The only way that's going to happen is we all collectively, say, for example, you have me, black, you have white, you have black, you have white, around this table. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what different races have done to each other. Let's talk about the history. Let's talk about it. Don't get mad about it. Let's talk about it. Bring it out. Bring out your personal experiences. Bring it out in the open. I've yet to see that happen. When I run for Nevada State Senate, I'm going to bring it up a lot. I'm going to articulate exactly what I mean, and I'm going to give you the documentation where I read it of what I'm talking about. You can believe that? It's all going to be up here. Now, granted, I can talk about it now, but I don't want to because I don't want it, not yet. That's why I'm just kind of like paraphrasing, giving you what I'm giving you now without going into an in-depth detail about this subject. But a lot of you all, especially if you're 30 years old and older, you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you do. I'll bet my life right now that you know what I'm talking about. want that to sink in, son. I definitely want to sink in about the original Black Panther Party for self-defense and the original White Panther Party for self-defense, how they were going to work together. Even during the 1600s, during Nathaniel Bacon's rebellion, how the poor whites and the poor blacks were going to work together. And that was in the 1600s. The powerful elite cannot afford to have black and white working together. They cannot afford that. I'll say that again. They cannot afford that. And that's what you all need to concentrate on first. You need to concentrate on why we have this division. Or excuse me, why we have these divisions, plural. Why do we have them? To control the population. And the powerful, they don't care how. Hell, I'll even say this, and I'll say this with confidence. Even a lot of the white males that are powerful, a lot of them are not racist, but that's their tool to use to stay powerful. The tool they use is racism. Another tool, let's talk about, give me another example. Let's talk about football. You got a receiver, you got a cornerback. What is the tool the offense is going to use to override or beat that cornerback? They're going to use a 6'4", 250-pound wide receiver against a 6', 180-pound, 190-pound, even 200-pound cornerback. They're going to use that tool to override that cornerback every time. The powerful elite, they're using racism. And that is the most powerful tool imagine that's on this earth that you can possibly imagine. Why? How do I know this? Well, because it's still being done to this very day in 2017. Hell, even a lot of blacks are racist amongst each other. Light-skinned blacks against dark-skinned blacks. That's what that movie was about in the 1990s. I think it was called School Days. And whites, I encourage you all to look at even, for argument's sake, black movies. I encourage you to look at that. Look at them. It's not just for blacks. Look at it for all. Oh, speaking of which, because I had a conversation about this, and when I explained it, this gentleman better understood it, regarding like black colleges. They say, well, black colleges, that's being racist. Yes and no. And I'll say this. Yes, it is being racist because that's also a split from white America. The reason black colleges were erected to begin with, why? Because blacks were not being treated fair even in the educational system. We couldn't get educated. Try to get educated, you'd be lynched, shot, raped, maimed, whatever. And that's just been a tradition that's been carried on to this very day. Now, personally, I think some black colleges now are integrated with black and white now. I think. I'm not sure. I got to look that up. I think that there are. But that's where that comes from. It's not. They weren't erected to be racist against whites. They were erected to have an equal footing in education. That's it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And I'm not talking about saying this, oh, Bryon, you're just defending blacks. You don't read. No, I'm not. If you don't believe me, read the history books, which most of you all won't read, so you'll never know. So you'll keep coming up with opinions and subjective statements without reading the historical documents. Just like you bar attorneys don't read the historical documents in the United States Congress to realize that you sons of bitches are not even lawful to do what you're doing. It's been a standard practice. Just like, for example, a lot of black colleges, it's been a standard practice to assume they were erected because they were racist against whites. No, they didn't want an equal footing. Nothing more, nothing less. That's just fact. Let's talk about another equal footing court case. There's a movie too. I want to see this movie. Loving versus Virginia, when a white man was married to a black lady. Well, they both just wanted an equal footing. They were in love. They wanted to be left the hell alone and be treated equally. So they got flack from blacks and whites. Racism. So, I mean, racism sucks. It sucks. It sucks. And I'm tired of it. I'm beyond tired of it. However, I still deal with it because I don't try to hide from it because it's there. It's life. I deal with it. And I will address it. I got no problem with that. No problem whatsoever. And if some do not like how I present it, that's your choice. I respect that. I do. Because that is your right in this country. In fact, even after this, you can not like me. I respect that. That is your right in this country. That's your right. Who the hell am I to not like you for not liking what I'm saying? Hell, I'd be a hypocrite. I'm not going to preach something and not practice it. I don't do that. I used to. We all have when we were much younger. Absolutely. We sure were. Now, as I got older, like the late Muhammad Ali said, if a man thinks the same way at 50 as he did when he was 30, he's wasted 20 years of his life. That's fact. And that's just a man. And that's anybody. If you're thinking the same way 20, 30 years or have not learned nothing, it sucks to be you. I'm glad, and I'm sure as hell glad I'm not you. And speaking of Muhammad Ali, let's talk about Muhammad Ali. A lot of people thought, well, he was racist too. That's bull. That's BS. He had a lot of white friends. And I mean real good, a lot of white friends, more than you know, but the news media never really talked about that. Again, during that time, he had to pray. Look what he did in the 1960s. That was unheard of for a black man to do what he did in the 1960s. He just wanted to be treated fairly. It all came down to be treated, being treated fairly and equally. And to raise awareness, which is why he talked a lot of the mess that he taught. That's all that was about. Nothing more, nothing less. But again, the controlled news media won't relay that. You can see a lot of it on YouTube if you go to the YouTube videos. And that's what he was talking about. So a lot of black leaders were talking about when they were talking about, for example, in the 1960s, they interviewed somebody, I forget who it was, maybe Muhammad Ali, when they asked him, was you run for office? And he said, no, I need to help our black people first. What he meant by that, it was not meaning, okay, let me divide from everybody else. That's not what he meant by that. And if you read more into it and read the historical documents, you'll see that. At that time, even today, the black community is the main community does not work together. Not talking about let's shun out. You can't help nobody unless you help yourself first. That's the point I'm getting at. So you cannot help another race of people if you can't even help your own race first. That's that point. And anybody, I'm sure you would agree with that. Hey, you'd be the same way about your own race. That's just like what's going on now between the English and the Irish is still going on today. That's like someone asking an Irishman, well, would you go to England? How about the English? No. Why would I help them out? I need to help out my people here in Ireland first. It's the same thing. Both have white skin. One's English, one's Irish. Doesn't matter. And I hope this is kicking in. I really do. Not, hopefully it'll kick in later. I don't know. Now, you want to talk about racism? Let me jump. It's in the same conversation. Let's talk about, because some of the comments I read we see on YouTube or Facebook about police dealing with blacks, no matter where it is. I read stupid ass my comments when they have no idea about what this situation is totally about. Well, see, all blacks just ignore police. A lot of blacks do, dummy, because we have the righteous indignation to ignore them and question them because of the historical, systematic approach that police do to poor blacks in black neighborhoods, which has been proven. It's been proven. It has been proven. And it's just like, for example, if the roles were reversed, if a lot of black cops are doing this to a lot of poor white neighborhoods, the whites would rise up in the same fashion. You would. I know you would. It's the same thing. Bottom line is they always go after the poor. Unfortunately, a lot of the poor in America are still, well, I wouldn't really say that because we're a small population, but you get my point. You get my point. And I go back to what happened in Ferguson, what has been discovered, and not just in Ferguson, but other poor black neighborhoods, how police constantly went after them, issuing them tickets that were unlawful. You get tired of that crap. You get tired. It gets old. It is old. It's been old since the 1960s. That's racism and bias. You get tired of it. My first experience of it, whether you believe it or not, I don't care because it's happened. My first real life experience of it happened to me in 1998 when I was driving my ex-girlfriend's car at the time. Some of you may not know because you weren't even born, I'm sure, but a lot of you were. It was a 1993 Dodge Stealth twin turbo. So, a lot of you remember that car. At that time, that car, and this car was clean. I mean, it was clean. It looked like, today that would be like an S-Class Mercedes, or an SL Class Mercedes, a sporty looking thing. That's how it was. The reason I say that is this. When me and my ex-girlfriend at the time would go to different restaurants to eat, whatever, we'd look outside the window, we'll see people like ooh and ah over piercing in, looking at it, asking how much it cost when we came out. It only cost like 25 or 30 grand, and people would be like, I thought that was an $80,000 car. No, it wasn't. So anyway, I was driving it one day, going home from in Carson City. In Carson, California. Some of you may know what's called the South Bay area in LA County. You have Torrance, Carson, San Pedro. Well, I live in Torrance. I was going from Carson to Torrance going home. LA Sheriff was behind me. I saw they turned on the sirens, or the lights rather. I was in the left lane, the far left lane, or 3 lanes I believe it was. I was in the left lane, so I pulled to the middle. I'm not knowing they lit me up. I didn't know that. Never entered my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, let me pull over to the right lane. They pulled over. I said, what the hell's going on? Still not knowing. And then they hit that. Then I pulled over. I said, okay, whatever. The male officer, who was a sergeant, comes to me, immediately asked me to step out of the car. Okay, what's going on? We stepped to the back of my partner. There's a female partner. She puts me in the back of the sheriff's patrol car, asked my ID, give my ID, and then the sergeant, knowing what I know now, I wish I could remember the name. I swear to God, I'll put him on blast. But anyway, starts going through, rummaging through the car. I didn't know nothing about this. This is 1998. I didn't know nothing then what I know now. So I was uneducated, blind, dumbed down, and indoctrinated. Assuming that what they were doing was perfectly lawful, which it was not, by no means. Anyway, goes through my book, everything. And then the female officer asks who my name was. It says, Bryon Watkins. She has my ID in her hand, so whatever. That's when I asked, what would you stop me for? I wanted to get home. I was sweaty. I wanted to get home. I was hungry. Well, we pulled you over because we ran the plate. It was a warrant out in your name. I said, okay, that's when the dawn. I said, wait a minute. I said, warrant. She goes, are you Bryon Watkins? I go, yeah. She goes, yeah, we got you right here in the computer. I said, yeah, but you also have my ID in your hands. Of course, you know my name. Anyway. And then I asked, before it was done, I said, how can that car, I didn't really know at the time. I didn't. How can that car have a warrant in my name that's not registered? It's not even my car. Oh, whose car is this? It's my girlfriend's car. It's not registered in my name. Bottom line is, they use bias and prejudice to pull me over driving a sports car. At that time, that mindset, it was a fancy, badass sports car. It was. A lot of y'all remember the Dodge. Google it. Even today, on the street, that thing looked nice. So you can imagine how it looked back in 1998. That's why I got pulled over, because of the car I was driving. And that happens if you read the reports by police to minorities, blacks especially, more than any other race. That's fact. those are the things we're tired of. Well, that's what we mean by having equal footing. If you're going to do that to us, do it to other races. But they won't. That's been discussed in criminal justice classes. That's been discussed in major universities. There's been many scholarly reports written about it with great documentation, but nobody reads. I keep saying it. Nobody reads anything. Don't take my word for it. Hell, I don't want you to believe me. Read it yourself. Maybe some are afraid to read the truth. Not me. You tell, hey, Bryon, there's the truth, go read about it. Oh, I'm like this. Oh, where's the truth at? Give me the truth. I want that truth. Oh, look at that. That's truth right there, baby. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Yes. All truth. I want to read about that. Versus, Bryon, here's some kind of opinions and subjective statements. I don't want that crap. That's not true. Get that crap out of my face. Oh, Bryon, here's something to read. Yeah, okay, whatever. Oh, but it has great documentation. It's all true. Oh, I want that. I want that crap. I'm running to that truth. Believe that, baby. Don't give me no BS. Yeah, and I know. I've heard too many times. Well, Bryon, most people can't handle the truth. I don't care. I don't care. You're going to hear the truth from me anyway. If you don't like it, you can remove yourself from my voice, and my voice carries. So you're going to probably have to distance yourself from me about a good 100 yards. Not feet. 100 yards. That's a football field. And other people have told me, well, Bryon, you speak your truth too much. You actually may not go far in life. And whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. That's where you're wrong. You want to know why? Because I'm speaking the truth. I'm going to go far mentally inside me anyway. Doesn't matter. I'm going to die being the man that I become and then some. So I'm going to die happy regardless. And that's something you powerful elite sons of bitches will never take from me. And don't try it, because I'll take you. Believe that. So, I mean, we can discuss this. I mean, I can go into far more detail about racism, but you get the point. You get my point. To a lot of white Americans, I can understand you being upset about the monuments being torn down. I disagree with it because you are erasing history. You are, and they need to stand, need to be talked about. They do. And people want to talk about, well, would you take down the presidents of Mount Rushmore? Personally, no president should be on Mount Rushmore. Indians should be on Mount Rushmore. They were here before all of us. That's fact. That's my opinion. Now, me saying that just now, some may not like that. But what most of you all don't know, I know most of you all don't know this, where do you think the Founding Fathers got the idea to write the Constitution? Which, by the way, to this very day, the United States Congress still thanks these individuals on the congressional floor for their ideas. The Algonquin Indian tribe and the Iroquois Confederate Nation. The Indians. So who really should be on Mount Rushmore? My personal opinion, the Indians. So take all the presidents down. Now, if we say that, I'm going to probably lose some friends, may not like it. I don't care, that's fine. I respect that. So, in closing, when we talk about racism, keep an open mind, ask questions, read things before jumping to conclusions because somebody else is doing it. Don't be no follower. Be a leader. Lead. Lead with truth. And do it with a passion and your heart. This is Bryon Watkins from Las Vegas, Nevada, signing off. If you like what I said, great. If you don't, I still respect you either way. So peace to you.